息了。如果阿肯相信了，心里的话儿向谁说？月亮，月亮，别躲开，躲开了阿萨会孤单的。如果阿萨孤单了，动人的情歌哪里找？飞吧，张开你的翅膀，从那日出到日落。别走开，走开了阿哥会伤心的。如果阿哥伤心了，心里的话儿向谁说？月亮，月亮，别躲开，躲开了阿萨会孤单的。如果阿萨孤单了，动人的情歌哪里找？飞吧，张开你的翅膀，从那日出到日落。别走开，
Test 1 2.
走开了阿哥会伤心的。
Test 1 2. If you're tuned in right now, we'll get started here in just a minute or two.
心里的话儿
Let
向
me know if you can
谁
hear my
说？
audio and that my audio is good.
月亮，别躲开，躲开了阿萨会孤单的。如果阿萨孤单了，动人的情歌哪里找？飞吧，张开你的翅膀，从那日出到日落。别走开，走开了阿哥会伤心的。
Let's get going. If you're tuned in,
相信
if you're tuned in right now, hit that thumbs up. Let me know you can hear my audio. Again, if you are tuned in right now, leave me a little something in the chat. Let me know my audio is good, but we're going to jump right into it. A lot to cover, and actually there's a whole lot more that I wanted to cover. But I'm trying not to drag this live out too long. I'm going to try to go through this quickly. So we're going to be talking about Stacks Nakamoto. We're going to be talking about Stacks Nakamoto, exit strategy, security, and some other things real quickly. So again, hit that thumbs up and let's get into it. First, how are we feeling? I know for me, I thought we would be seeing more all-time highs across crypto right now. But that's not what's happening. So I know there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt going on in the market. As we see here, we had expectations going into this halvening, and we have been bamboozled once again, right? If something unexpected doesn't happen, then it almost feels weird, right? So honestly, not surprised that we're kind of in a situation where everybody's wondering what is going on. And AstroPin down here says, I don't get it. This halving is exactly on track with previous halvings. No, it's not, unless I'm missing something. Because if you go back to the charts, particularly last bull, the bull essentially started picking up in late July. So we're a little bit behind schedule on that. And I think that's why everybody's kind of looking at each other and wondering what's going on and what's going to happen next. So what is going to happen next? And this kind of goes back into the history a little bit here. We should, again, according to history, honestly have already been kind of accelerating in this bull run, but we're still in this waiting period. But as you can see, right around this time, we should be seeing some action, but we're still waiting a little bit. We have kind of a not price prediction, but just kind of an idea of where we could go, which is 400K according to this chart or diagram, if you will. Again, we'll see. We'll see. I thought this was nice to see Scottie Pippen. Satoshi Nakamoto visited me in a dream last night and predicted that Bitcoin would be at $84,650 on November 5th, 2024. Not financial advice. I don't know about y'all, but I'll take what I can get. I'll take what I can get. If Nakamoto, if Satoshi is visiting you in dreams, if you're, getting other messages from potentially higher places on where the price is going to be, hey, I'll take what I can get right now because there is some uncertainty. I think the two scenarios that I have seen people talk about, and let me know what y'all think in the chat, especially my traders, let me know what you think. But again, there's only two scenarios, right? Which is we either go up or we go down. And I guess we could also continue to consolidate right here. But I saw one prediction or one potential play where we continue to fall in price and kind of enter a little mini bear market, if you will. And then going into the spring of 2025, we recover and we see the first major bull. So I don't know. I hope that's not the case, to be quite honest with you, because I'm exhausted at this point. And then the other scenario, which I still think is in motion, we're just having to wait for it a little bit more, is that we continue to go into this first bull into Christmas, then we see a pullback, and then we enter that second bull run, right? So I still feel like we can potentially be on track to see new highs going into the end of this year. At least I hope so. At least I hope that's the case. If y'all have seen anything else, what's up, Danny? Yes, Danny, it has been a while. It has indeed. Good to hear from you. And also let me mention, I know I've moved the time of this live like 3 times. It was just a crazy week for me, so I had to keep moving things around. So thanks for your flexibility on that. So let's go to this real quick. Charlie here says the U.S. government continues to spend money like a drunken sailor with a budget deficit of -2 trillion over the past year. This is occurring when the economy is still in an expansion and home stock prices are at record highs. What happens to the deficit when a recession hits, right? And Lynn Alden says the obvious here, which is you think this train we're on has brakes. Okay, this is going to continue to happen. We're going to continue to see the national debt rise as well as the deficit. Okay, it's not going to stop, right? And I think once a person really sits with this information, is kind of like you have to find other ways to protect yourself when the Fed, when the government literally has no idea what the fuck they're doing, right? You have to take matters into your own hands, right? And let's move forward. I know if you're in the US right now, again, y'all hit that thumbs up. Thank you for dropping in. I would love to see some comments on what y'all think is going to play out over the next few months. Are we still in a bull? Are we going to enter maybe a little mini bear market? How are we feeling right now? Let me know in the chat. Okay, so if you're in the US, we're in a political season right now. I mean, we always are, but we have the presidential election coming up in about 60 days at this point. So a big topic is taxes. I know a couple weeks ago there was a lot of Twitter up in arms over the unrealized gains tax, which there was a lot of misinformation floating around on that. So again, don't trust, verify. Do not trust, always verify, assume everything that you're reading on Twitter and these social platforms is false, and always confirm information. But to get on back on track, I guess my little thought on that is like, particularly with the unrealized gains tax, I think over what, $100 million. For me, it's just like, you either think taxation is theft or you don't. That's kind of where I sit on it. I think it's a little odd to think that, well, taxation and taxes are theft, but when it's over $100 million, all of a sudden it isn't theft, right? So for me, it's very simple. Taxation is theft. They're stealing our money. And for me, that's across the board, no matter how much you make, right? But going into this, Anthony Pompliano, Kamala Harris wants to increase the capital gains tax rate to 28%. This is divergence from Biden's proposed 39% tax rate for long-term capital gains. In a weird way, Harris is appearing to be more centrist with this proposal, even though she is increasing the tax rate by 40%. What do you think the capital gains tax rate should be? Should it go up, down, or stay the same? Let's play this clip real quick.
I did want to ask you about Vice President Harris's new plan on capital gains tax. Biden had a plan for a 39% tax, and Harris came out on Wednesday saying that should be down to 28%. What was your read on that sort of tweak?
20% is where we're kind of sitting at today. Biden came out at 39.6%, and people had an absolute field day. How can you go from 20 to 40? You're basically doubling it. You're going to disincentivize investment in America. At 20%, we're never going to go to 40. 39.6%, that's insane. No way you're ever going to get that passed. What Harris did is she basically has said, well, wait a second. Everyone's anchored on this 39.6%. I've been backing a lot of the same Biden economic policies. They expect me to come in at 39%. If I come in at 28%, I'm actually in a weird way moving more to the center, even though she's increasing the rate by 40%. Harris and Trump both are populist candidates. They're going after the working class. And so it's really easy to say, oh, but we're only going to do it for people who got over $1 million. Immediately, a huge portion of the population says, well, I don't got $1 million. Like, I don't care what you do to those people. Take all their money.
I did want to ask you about Vice President.
And again, I remember a lot of conversations going on around this, especially with that $1 million conversation. I think my mind always goes back to this video I watched, and I know I have that information somewhere because I talked about it on Instagram a few years back about how taxes can really be detrimental to those trying to build wealth, right? So imagine you're been grinding for 8+ years in crypto, or grinding multiple jobs, investing, doing the right things with your money, just to be hit with a capital gains tax. It's just that harder to build wealth, or build that first $1 million, or build that first $2 million, right? And it always brings me back to this video that I watched of a gentleman talking about how he was like having coffee with a very wealthy individual. And this wealthy individual was essentially saying that he loves voting for Democrats because Democrats tend to have the most, not intense, that's not the correct vocabulary word, but the most intense tax plans, right, in terms of increasing taxes. And he was saying that he likes that because it makes it harder for people to escape the middle class, right? So essentially means it keeps the wealthy, and it makes it harder for people to enter those upper classes, right? And so it kind of brought, when I was kind of looking through people's comments on here, There was one that really resonated with me. Maybe I passed it. Yeah, Chris here. 28% feels more reasonable than 39%, but I wonder how it'll impact middle class investors. Back in 2012, when taxes on capital gains went up, a lot of everyday folks got hit harder than expected, right? So again, it's very important if you are a voter, if you're a U.S. citizen in general, to be informed on these things, because this can affect your ability to build wealth and generational wealth. So plan accordingly, right? Take matters into your own hands and do what you need to do to make sure your ability to build wealth isn't being suppressed or being crushed. Right. And I think another thing for me is, during all of the political talk, you have people, Harris versus Trump. Where I'm at right now is I need to retire my entire bloodline this bull run, right? Where I'm at right now is I need a second passport. All the blue versus red, Republican versus Democrat, it's not for me. I'm focused on what I can do for myself and my family and take matters into my own hands, right? Because at the end of the day, one of the best quotes, nobody's coming to save you. Not Kamala, not Trump. Take matters into your own hands, be responsible, and find a third route. So let me know what y'all think about that. Let me know in the comments. Monib here, my takeaway from the debated economic plans is that I need to buy more Bitcoin. It's as simple as that. Keep stacking sats. Stay in these crypto streets, so you can play these markets and accumulate more Bitcoin and put yourself in a better position to where it doesn't matter who wins. That's where I'm trying to be. I'm trying to put myself in a position and my family in a position where it doesn't matter who wins, right? Because we have other options. Next, I know there's been a lot of talk of like, how are the markets going to react based upon who's elected? The beautiful thing about Bitcoin is Bitcoin doesn't care, right? Bitcoin does not care. Tom is here. If Trump wins, Bitcoin goes to $1 million by 2030. If Kamala wins, Bitcoin goes to $1 million by 2030. Bitcoin doesn't give a fuck, right? And so again, if you're involved in politics, love that for you. If you're not, love that for you. My intention is not to persuade anyone. It's just to remember that at the end of the day, it's about what you can do for yourself in terms of, building wealth, giving yourself options and different avenues, right? We're about building options for ourselves. And we're going to touch a little bit more on that as we talk about exit strategy. So stick around. Okay, real quickly. Bob, what's going on with Bob? Season 3 for Bob is around the corner. So I was, looking at my Bob Fusion account and I was like surprised at how well I'm doing on the leaderboard. So, make sure if this is something that you're interested in, that you're paying attention to these Zilly campaigns. There was a Satoshi, and I should have pulled up a document that I had all this written down, but there's some campaigns going on right now where there's a Satoshi stablecoin out right now that's partnering with Bob, and it's called Satoshi Protocol, right? And their whole thing is stablecoins. You can go on there, do a couple things, literally takes 5 minutes, and you can mint an NFT and start accumulating additional spice. There's some other campaigns going on right now. Again, simple stuff. It'll take like 5 minutes where you can start accumulating more spice. So I'm definitely staying up to date with that. Real quickly, I know there has been a lot of talk on Twitter about OpCat and particularly Fractal Bitcoin. Fractal. I don't know much about it. I've done a little bit of reading here and there, but not enough to actually talk on it. But what I do is pay attention to what some of the prominent names are saying about these new innovations, if you will. And Trevor here says OpCat coins have advantages over runes on paper, but the way they work is difficult to reason about. Far more of a negative than you think. It means slower developer adoption, hidden limitations and UX problems, etc. Same problem that Taproot assets and Lightning currently have. So again, who knows? I've seen one cat on Twitter or on X, making bank with Fractal and OpCat. And so I'm sure there's money-making opportunities, but it doesn't seem like it's a threat to runes, which was also kind of speculation or rumors and FUD going around on that. Leonidas here says the real truth about the runes FUD. Fractal tokens are on a test net layer 1 that has no more relationship to Bitcoin than Solana, so are irrelevant to runes. The catnip stuff is a theoretical standard that can't exist until Bitcoin goes through an upgrade that is 1+ years away. Okay, so again, just some more information on that. Okay, moving forward, let's talk briefly about security. And again, I should have pulled up the rules of this channel, but one of our rules is security is everything. That is the number one rule. If your security is trash, literally nothing matters, right? Because in an instance, you can lose access to your wallet and to your money. So at that point, what's the point, right? So security is always the number one thing. And I've talked about this a few other times on this channel about having security measures, right? Having layers of security, having walls upon walls of security, having a password for your password, right? Having things like a YubiKey, and just protecting yourself at all places, right? And so I thought this was interesting. Of course, we know Proton Wallet, Proton Mail has come out with a wallet, not your keys, not your crypto, right? We should all know that by now. And it says here, your friends when you tell them to move their Bitcoin into a self-custodial wallet so they can avoid losing it all. If you've been here any amount of time, there's always been one scandal or two scandals going on with, an exchange losing people's funds or, an exchange freezing people's funds, XYZ, ABC, right? There's always something going on every single cycle with people losing access to their funds because they are not self-custodying their funds. So that is a major thing and something to always be aware of. But I wanted to briefly touch on this, and essentially in this thread, this is by the Smart Ape, your seed phrase is at risk. A North Korean hacker group has developed a new method to drain your wallet. My brother fell victim. And in this thread, he basically says how his brother had his keys in two places. He had one written copy of his keys, and he had one picture on his phone of his keys. And essentially what happened, his phone was hacked into. There was some type of malware or something on his phone. They retrieved that image, and they were able to steal his funds. So this is a classic lesson in not having a digital copy of your keys. And if you are going to have a digital copy of your keys, like what does that look like for you to where you're not worried about a device being hacked into, right? Or your device being stolen and someone having access to your keys. So again, I think the Bitcoiner, I guess the OG Bitcoiner way, is you only have your keys on paper, right? You can't hack paper, right? So you only have a physical copy of your keys in some way, and maybe that's paper, maybe that's on a metal plate. You know, some people do, the washers and etch their keys on washers and things like that. So just always be overly cautious, right? I know I've said this before. Be overly cautious, be overly protective. It's important to feel paranoid about your keys. You should feel paranoid. You should feel over the top. And so, again, making sure you have multiple security measures in place. Okay. So let's move forward. And I guess on the topic of security and also just like risk management, there is talk of what is the future for wrapped Bitcoin, right? So Dan Helt here says, we are 30 days away from $8.6 billion of wrapped Bitcoin custody being partially transferred to Justin Sun, a notorious bad actor. We need better wrapped bridge Bitcoin solutions. So I want to bring this up because I actually do have some wrapped Bitcoin right now, and I have it as collateral. So I'm under the pressure now of trying to figure out how, like, what is my next move with that, because yeah, the idea of Justin Sun having some sort of power over wrapped Bitcoin and the future of wrapped Bitcoin is really, really scary, right? And I will say this, I've said this in the past, wrapped Bitcoin is not Bitcoin, right? Any BTC that has a letter or a couple letters before the BTC is not Bitcoin. And I've talked about this previously when we were talking about Sovereign, right? And the pegged Bitcoin that they have. And I knew that 100% when getting wrapped Bitcoin, but because of wanting to get some spice back in May when everything was launching with Bob, and doing some things between Sovereign and Bob to accumulate spice, I ended up accumulating some or trading rather into wrapped Bitcoin. And I know full and well, with full awareness, that wrapped Bitcoin is not Bitcoin, right? But again, just to bring this up, if you have some wrapped Bitcoin right now, it might be a good idea to reconsider, right? And a little piece here from coinmarketcap.com. The MakerDAO community, a prominent participant in decentralized finance, has expressed worries about Justin Sun's involvement in this transaction. They are currently assessing a proposal to remove all outstanding wrapped BTC debts from their network, as they are apprehensive about Sun potentially acquiring excessive power over wrapped BTC. The broader crypto community harbors the same concerns, thinking that Sun may exploit his authority to generate additional wrapped BTC or manipulate proof of reserve information. So it's not looking good for wrapped BTC. And as I said, for myself, I'm considering ways to exit out of my wrapped BTC position. I'm just gonna have to be clever about it and figure out how to do it in the best way, since I have it as collateral. But just a reminder, because we also know that Stacks is coming out with a SBTC on Bob. There has been use of TBTC. Again, these BTCs that have a letter before them are not Bitcoin, okay? SBTC on Stacks is not Bitcoin. TBTC is not Bitcoin, and that is obvious by the ticker. Okay. And I encourage you all, before you get into these SBTCs and TBTCs and all this other stuff, look into what pegs are, look into what federations are. Again, we've talked about this on this channel when going over sovereign and rootstock. So please be informed and know how these things work and those mechanisms work. All right. Danny, yeah, definitely agree. It's a smart decision to get a second passport, but they are expensive though. Yes, we're going to talk about that, Danny. We're about to talk about that in like 5 minutes. Okay. Another thing, again, going into security and also just risk assessment. We all know this past week, Decentralized, the team behind it, rugged, essentially. Decentralized down 30% today after team announces dev abandonment. And so I wanted to bring this up because if you are making any sort of plays on, whether it's Leo on stacks, whether it's Welsh on stacks, whether it's Rue on stacks, or whether it's $1 billion cat on runes, or whether it's dog on runes, or any of these other meme coin type coins, or really any coin in general, just be aware that any point, and in a lot of cases it's unlikely, right? But at any point, these teams can just vanish, right? And I wanted to also mention that for dog specifically, I was listening to a space, and Leonidas has said that he will leave the dog project at some point, and he will not kind of be the face or the leader of dog at some point. Like, he's literally said that, which is fine, right? He basically was saying, at some point when dog has a thriving community behind it, he will eventually move on to other things. And so my point in saying that is, if you are holding these tokens and meme coins just because of a team or just because of a leading figure in the community, I mean, just possibly reconsider, right? And just take into account that at any moment, these leaders can up and leave and disappear. And what does that mean for you and that token, right? All right, let's move forward. All right, if you're tuned in right now, hit that thumbs up for me. I appreciate that. Let's get into exit strategy again. We're going to be talking about selling this shit here on out. Every single stream, I'm going to talk about selling. Okay. So last live, I went through and talked about kind of knowing where everything is, knowing what wallets and what addresses are holding what, and also at what levels you're going to be selling at, what percentage of your holdings are you going to be selling at each price point, right? So you can go back into that video where I talk about that. But today I wanted to focus on really storyboarding and like vision boarding your exit and what that means for you, right? Because I think we talk a lot of time about just selling and getting it through our skulls to sell. But what does that actually mean for you? How does that improve your life? What does that do to your life, right? And so here are just a couple things. I added a sheet. And again, this is my dummy sheet for live. I have a different sheet that I actually use. But again, it's like really putting pen to paper, really planning what you're going to do with the profits, right? To make it as real as possible and to get it into your system that you not only will sell, but you have to sell. to make certain things happen. So some things that I'm kind of mapping out, if you will, are my priorities. What happens when I start selling? What happens next? And one of the things, first and foremost, before I do anything, is getting right with the IRS, right? And making sure that I have a trusted tax advisor and a tax strategy in place, right? So that's number one for me. Another thing to possibly consider is paying off certain debts, right? Maybe you still have student loans and you just want to get that fucking over with. Or maybe we're going to wait and see if the Kamala administration, maybe they'll forgive student loans, right? Or, maybe you have some medical debt, or maybe you have a credit card that you just want to pay off. Whatever that is, that's something to also consider, right? And I broke this down into 3 tiers, and I'm still mapping this out in my other one. But another thing that is really important to me, and I talked about this last bull, is a dual citizenship / getting another passport. And Danny, as you're talking about, yes, it's smart to get a second passport, but they are expensive. And I think, yeah, it's not cheap, right? But there are alternative methods. So for example, Danny, if you're looking into what is like most economical for you or for someone else, right now in El Salvador, like if you really wanted to make this happen for yourself, there are programs with El Salvador where you can stay for 4 years. Max Kaiser, he has a thread about this, and he essentially said, you can go and live in El Salvador on a visa for 4 years, renew that visa for another 4 years, and then you can request citizenship. It was something like that, right? So essentially, you could get a citizenship and passport just for putting your time and energy into El Salvador, right? Just by living there. So I would encourage you, if you're thinking that it's going to be out of your budget or your price range to get another citizenship and passport, there might be alternative ways, right? We also know that for passports and citizenship, there are get a citizenship by descent, right? So, for example, there's, if y'all are familiar with Crypto Tips on YouTube, what's his name? Not Heidi, but her husband was able to get a German citizenship by descent because he had like grandparents who who were born in Germany, right? So again, I'm not sure what the cost is on that, but you don't always have to, invest $1 million into the country. Like, so for example, with El Salvador, if you invest $1 million, you can get a citizenship. So there are alternative ways to get citizenships and passports, right? So if you have family who's from another country, maybe inquire about getting citizenship through descent or these other alternative routes. Another thing that I'm really interested in is, and it's not even interested in, another thing that I'm working on currently, right, is real estate and property. And I've talked about this, getting property in El Salvador. And again, what I'm saying is it's not just about having thoughts and just having ideas of what I'm going to do with these profits. It's me already putting this shit into motion, right? I've already had phone calls. I've already had consultations with real estate companies in El Salvador. Right now, I'm waiting on some information for farmland in the mountains of El Salvador, right? It's about taking the steps to put this in motion before you even have the profits, right? And so maybe that for you, that's like buying a home, and maybe you don't have the money right now to buy that home, but go on Zillow, start looking at options, start going to open houses, like make the experience as real as possible right now, right? Another thing that I'm also considering is cash flow businesses and what that looks like for me, right? And my next tier is like having fun. Like how else do I want to enjoy these profits and also allow my family to enjoy these profits? Y'all, I was like a couple weeks ago, I was like, maybe I want to get my pilot's license. You know what I mean? I might fuck around and get a sailing certification, just to have the option. Right? So that's something on my list. I've talked about travel a lot. Again, I'm sharing some of this with you so you can have ideas and start, thinking about these things as well. But I don't know about y'all, but my dad has been talking about going to Maine for like the past 5 years. Like every single year he brings it up. So what I'm going to be doing with my profits is making that a reality for my dad and for myself and for my family to go and have a nice vacation in Maine. And so what does that look like right now? That means I'm already looking up locations for us to stay, right? I'm already looking at boutique hotels. I'm already looking at excursions that we will be able to do. I already have an Instagram list of restaurants that we will be visiting, right? I'm storyboarding this shit out right now. So again, yes, we know that we're going to be selling in this bull run, but let's take it a step further. What are we going to be doing with those profits, right? Storyboard this shit out. Get the fucking glue stick out, and start putting this shit on a vision board. So you already have it. You already have it in a place to where you are making it real. Okay. And lastly, just real quickly, because I still need to flesh this out, but I'm developing a strategy on exit steps, right? So what does that actually look like? What does that process actually look like for me to exit these positions? What does, again, taking into effect these unstacking periods, right? Unstake period 28 days, taking into account that, what does it look like to exit out of these collateralized loans? And then once I do that, where am I funneling those profits? Where am I putting those profits? Is it going into, a high APY DeFi stablecoin platform? Is what percent of the profits am I doing that with? What percent of the profits am I moving into US dollars, and into what a bank account are those profits going into, right? So I am going to be mapping this out from start to motherfucking finish. Okay. So we'll revisit that when I get that down. Danny, to get citizenship by investment in St. Kitts, you need about 250,000 for the El Salvador method. You can move in and move in and out of the country after receiving the 4 years visa. Right. Yeah. So, another thing, and I had it up here. Yeah, there's many different resources that I am, that I have archived. Plan B Passport is probably the first. Katie at Plan B Passport is probably the first person I'll reach out to when I'm at that stage of ready to pull the trigger on an option. But the thing about it is you can also schedule a consultation, right? So Danny, I would encourage you, schedule some consultations. Be like, hey, after the bull run, I'm expected to have X amount. I'm wondering what my options are. What are the lowest cost options? You don't have to have the money right now, right? Like, fuck that. You don't have to have the money right now, but start scheduling some consultations with Plan B or with, these other agencies or whatever who are assisting people in getting these citizenships. But yeah, Danny, I have also looked into the St. Kitts and Nevis, also the St. Lucia. I know those are the most doable ones and also the fastest ones that you can get. But I think, Danny, there might be some reachable options within El Salvador, and who else, there might be other things out there as well. Did you follow Pavel Durov story? Heard he only got arrested in France because he had a French passport. He was born in France. He wasn't born in France. Yeah, I haven't really followed that story. You're talking about the CEO of Telegram, right? I haven't really followed that story. I don't know what's going on with it, but yeah, I don't know. He wasn't born in France, but he had a French passport. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. And lastly, I want to end this section by talking about money that I lost last cycle, of course, right? Because I want to nail this in. So we'll probably be moving forward in every live be talking about money that I foolishly didn't cash out last cycle. So last live I talked about the artifact Nike monolith one that was worth about $27,000 at one point, right? And so today I'm going to talk about the liquid finance token airdrop that I didn't cash out, right? So the liquid finance token was airdropped, I think maybe in 2021, something like that. And it was essentially a free airdrop. I think if I recall correctly, all we had to do was I think we had to do some quests during that time. So we had to do some activities, and then I think we had to purchase a couple NFTs, I think. But at that time, so this was back, when was this? This was back in 2022, actually. April 2022, we got a free airdrop of about 192 tokens, I believe, at that time. So let's do some math. All right, let me pull my calculator up. Okay, so a 192 token airdrop of liquid tokens. Let's just go on the low end. So the all-time high was about $100, right? So let's just say $80, right? In April of 2022, if I had sold 192 liquid tokens, a free airdrop at $80, again, that's on the low end, $15,000. $15,000. Free airdrop. Okay. Now let's go on the high end just for shits and giggles. 192 times $100, $19,000. So someone made $19,000 last cycle from a free airdrop of liquid token. That someone was not me, because I did not sell. Okay. So what did I say? 15,000. So 15,000 plus, what did I say last week? 27,000, right? Almost half $100,000, $42,000 that I could have cashed out. Of course, we take out taxes on that, but $42,000 from free airdrops. Let that sink in. Danny, managed to sell the remainder of my LQ tokens in the early 2023 for about 6K, was worth about 22K at the peak if I remember correctly. Yep. This shit is not made up, y'all. The chart is right here. The airdrop is on a blockchain. 42,000, and this is just 2 cases I'm talking about. Y'all don't know a quarter of the shit that I lost last cycle for being dumb, for speculating. What could I have done with that? What could you do with $42,000? Right? That's why I'm so adamant about making sure we sell all this shit. Dog getting sold. Okay, let's go back over here. Dog getting sold. Sovereign token, it's getting sold. Dot, it's getting sold. ADA, I can't wait to sell that shit. Stacks, it is getting sold. Okay, all these 50 plus NFTs I'm getting, I still have. I'm selling them. This bull run is the game of how much can I sell? You know? Like, I'm trying to outsell all you motherfuckers. Right? And if you don't sell, guess what? You're about to be my exit liquidity. Okay? Just remember that. Remember that piece. So the person who sold at $100 per token, I was their exit liquidity. The people who sold their monolith for, you know, $27,000, $20,000, $15,000, $10,000, I was their exit liquidity. I made someone else money. Like, let that sink in. Let that sink in. What up, Creole? Creole, bruh. Yep. Creole lost that money too. Creole didn't sell either. Danny, well, I'm never making that mistake again. Oh God. Bruh, exit liquidity. Yep. Just remember that. If you do not sell in this bull run, you are someone else's exit liquidity. If you do not sell in this bull run, someone else is going to buy that property you were looking at in El Salvador. Someone else is going to buy that citizenship that you wanted. Someone else is going to be selling, right? Someone else got their selling certification in their sailboat, not you, right? Someone else is traveling the world on the money that you let them have. All right, y'all, let's move forward. Okay, real quickly, Stacks Nakamoto. So right now, so we've been in like the activation period for Stacks Nakamoto, and what's happening right now is we're just essentially waiting for it to actually go into motion. Right, so Bull Post Stacks Nakamoto upgrade just days away, from 10 minutes to 5-second transactions, 100% Bitcoin security, anchored chain, fully expressive smart contracts, clarity, decentralized SBTC for Bitcoin DeFi, 2.5 billion market cap, first SEC regulated token offering STX, no SC SEC investigation or concerns. World-class DeFi ecosystems, Alex, Velar, Arcadico, Zest Protocol, Stacking DAO, Bitflow, Grayscale STX Trust, and other active institutional investors. Incredible community of builders, users, and contributors. Stacks will be a top 10 project by end of year. Okay? It's heating up. Stacks Foundation here. According to Signal 21 BTC, the Stacks ecosystem was marked in August by 31% surge in developer activity, steady rise in total value stacked, growth of transactions volume topping 480 million plus STX. The Nakamoto upgrade can become a major boost for key on-chain metrics moving forward. Okay. Munib here. I've held Bitcoin for 11 years and Stacks for 5 years since original 2019 distribution. These two make up for 99% of my liquid portfolio. In the recent dip, I bought more Bitcoin and Stacks. Why? Programmable BTC, SBTC, CBBTC, etc. will make Bitcoin more valuable, more demand. Bitcoin L2s reaching an inflection point with Stacks Nakamoto leading the way. Bitcoin L2s remain a relatively small market with high growth potential. This is not financial advice, but a response to some community questions. People also ask me, what else do I hold? Outside of these two primary assets, I have small positions in projects where I'm friends with the founders or find the project intellectually interesting. Current small holdings include Solana, Aptos, Celestia, Athena, and Filecoin. I pretty much stopped doing angel investing as I can't find the time given focus on Trust Machines products and Nakamoto and SBTC launch. I'm more bullish than ever on Bitcoin and the work that Stacks devs are doing. So here we have it. Munib, 99% of his portfolio Bitcoin and Stacks. Okay. We're bullish on Stacks. Moving forward. So what is my strategy right now? For the most part, I'm sitting tight. My core positions, in Bitcoin and Stacks, again, ADA, because I just accumulated so much in the last cycle. Like, I'm not buying any more ADA unless I have to add collateral to my loan. But I have so much ADA that it is a core part of my portfolio. I have Dog, Dot, things of this nature. So my core positions are pretty solid. Like, I feel really fucking good about my positions right now. So what am I doing right now? Honestly, I'm feeling a little bit like I'm entering a degen, my degen era within this cycle. People are making some dumb money on Stacks right now. If you're not on stx.city, it really is the place to be to see what up and coming tokens are launching, right? Memes on Stacks it's I guess heating up as these different platforms are being built for it. So stx.city, if you're someone like myself who currently I'm like looking up for a little 5x or a little 10x playing the shitcoin casino, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm still accumulating Stacks, I'm still accumulating Bitcoin, but I am at a place where my positions are so solid that I kind of want to play around and see if I can get a quick 5 or 10x on some of these meme coins. So something to consider. Moving forward, Danny, hey Creole, been a while, haven't been on these streams because of time zone differences. Danny, to be honest, I think the Cardano hype seems done for. Gonna convert my remaining ADA to some other projects like Undo and Ton. Yeah. And you know what's crazy? I don't know if y'all saw that video of Charles saying that this upgrade for Cardano is like the next best thing to the American Revolution, and Bitcoin's only threat. It's all, Cardano has been the only and will always be the threat to Bitcoin. The dude is either delusional or he is a liar. And I'm inclined to believe that he's just a liar and a con artist at this point. But some of the stuff, again, just sounds absolutely absurd, what he says. But yeah, Cardano hype does seem to be gone at this point. I've seen a number of big figures within the Cardano space. I'm talking people who've been there since I've been there, you know, back in like 2018, 2017, right? They're really starting to sound a bit afraid, right, at the state of Cardano and the lack of development. So yeah, I still think it's going to do well in this bull run, and that's why I'm holding it, but I cannot wait to sell out of it. Cardano is about, when I looked at the pie chart, it was like about 30% of my portfolio right now. Again, because I just hold so much of it from accumulating it last cycle and back in, 2017, 18. And that is way too much. 30% is way too much. So I will be selling out of my position and am looking forward to doing that. Okay, real quickly, I thought this was interesting coming from the Hell Money podcast with Rodamar talking about quantum computing. So let me play this real quick.
What's this? Quantum computing? Okay, we got two more. What's this? Quantum computing?
Computers.
Fucking D tier, easy.
I think quantum computers are like even less likely than AI.
Yeah.
I don't see them happening. They're
100%.
a huge industry. They're just this big academic grift. There are breakthroughs that when you read about, like, well, what was the actual breakthrough? It's like there is none. There is no workload that you can do on a quantum computer today that you're better off doing on a quantum computer than a classical computer. Literally zero. Literally none. Literally
yeah, this
none.
should go below
This shit
D.
is never gonna fucking happen.
I know.
Like if we had a Z tier, like I would put quantum computers in Z tier. They're just
On
not
its
gonna
own.
fucking happen.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. They're
Last
just not
one.
real.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. That's literally like, it's like fucking STEM nerd bullshit.
I thought this was really, really interesting to hear. If you watch the previous, the most recent presidential debate, Kamala brought up quantum computing and AI. As we all know, one of the common points that is brought up as a threat to Bitcoin is quantum computing. That's often brought up by people. So it was really interesting hearing someone say quantum computing isn't a thing. Out of my entire time of being in Bitcoin, I've never heard someone just explicitly say quantum computing isn't going to happen. Like it's not a thing. So I wanted to play that. Because again, I know it's brought up quite frequently as a threat to Bitcoin. And, knowing it's coming from Rodamar, again, kind of gives it a little bit of validity, knowing his background with developing and coding and computers and things of that nature. So, interesting, right? Lastly, last point here. We haven't been talking about DOT a lot, right? Again, for a specific reason, we're Bitcoin. We've moved to a Bitcoin centric channel, but I still do have my Polkadot holding, right? I still have my DOT holding, and so I did want to mention I saw this thread about JAM. Okay, what is JAM? Proposed by the co-founder of Ethereum and Polkadot, and why should we care? From Ethereum to Polkadot, Solana to Cosmos. This thread takes a journey through all and introduces JAM. So I'm not going to read this thread, but I just wanted to bring up, it does look like maybe Gavin is working on something. And I did want to also mention, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a threat to DOT. From the thread, it seemed like JAM won't have a token, or they mentioned something saying that it won't be a threat to DOT. So just interesting, seeing that there are some other things being worked on behind the scenes. All right, y'all. That's it. That is all I have for you. Again, thanks for being flexible with me changing the times on this. Hit that thumbs up on the way out. I will be doing these live streams at any time, so turn your notifications on, so you know when they're coming and when I'm going live. But y'all stay strong. Protect your liquidations. Stack sats. As always, do your own research. Never financial advice, anything that I say. Don't trust, don't verify. That goes with everything that you see on the internet. With the amount of misinformation that has been circulating on Twitter, it's literally, it's insane. So don't trust, verify. And I will see y'all in the next one. All right.
别走开，走开了阿哥会伤心的。如果阿哥伤心了，心里的话儿向谁说？月亮，月亮，别躲开，躲开了阿咋会孤单的？如果阿咋孤单了，动人的情歌哪里找？飞吧，张开你的翅膀，从那日出到日落。别走开，走开了阿哥会伤心的。如果阿哥伤心了，心里的话儿向谁说？月亮，月亮，别躲开，躲开了阿咋会孤单的？如果阿咋孤单了，动人的情歌哪里找？飞吧，张开你的翅膀，从那日出到日落。别走开，走开了阿哥会伤心的。如果阿哥伤心了，心里的话儿向谁说？月亮，月亮。